my name is Lisa Stokke. I'm an actress and a singer, and I live here in London with my husband and my two children, Jasper, who's 13, and Tallulah, who's 8, and our dog Poppy, and our kitten Cookie Dough. So about 4 years ago, my family, we decided to cut out sugar in the beginning almost entirely, which was quite a challenge, but we did it because my son has a genetic mutation, which means his body doesn't process enzymes and nutrition properly, so his body doesn't absorb some of the nutrients from the food he's eating. And one of the best ways to help the body do that is to cut out sugar and to eat highly nutritious food. And so we went on this big journey. And as time has gone on, we have gone from having to be completely sugar-free to having a slightly more, shall we say, socially able way to do it. So we now have a lovely balance where we feel slightly more normal, shall we say. So, what are my top tips for reducing your sugar intake? Number one, get yourself informed. You can read all about the scientific reasons for reducing your sugar. It's all online, or you can buy books about it. I know there's one book called Gut by a doctor who specializes in gut disease, and she explains it very well why we need to stop eating so much sugar and fructose fruit, because it affects our gut health, which affects our brain. It affects everything in our system. There's also another book which I love, which is this one. This is like my cooking Bible. It's called I Quit Sugar for Life by Sarah Wilson. I don't know her. This is not an endorsement of sorts, but she also explains exactly the reason why our body reacts the way it does to sugar, and why we need to stop poisoning ourselves. She also has fantastic recipes for the whole family, which I really love. They're delicious and they work. And she has great tips for doing this in your everyday life. So that's my tip number one. Tip number two is make a plan. To do this kind of thing, you really need to help yourself by thinking ahead. So, for example, shop ahead of time so that you can make sensible choices and sensible substitutions. The I Quit Sugar for Life book gives excellent tips on substitutions, as does the Gut book, for example. And also, always carry something around with you to help you get over those sugar cravings, so that you have something handy to eat instead. And I like to, for example, I use this one. This is a protein shake by a company called Arbonne. And they do a delicious protein shake which is full of vitamins and minerals and enzymes. And I also take a prebiotic with it from Arbonne, and I put in green powder often, which makes it look really green, but it is good. And a fibre as well, because fibre helps to expel all the toxins from your system. And I have this every single day. I especially use it when I perform because I need extra energy. And anyone who does a lot of exercise will need to up their protein intake as well. Because your body, once you start to reduce your sugar intake, you'll get something called the toxic die-off, and it basically means all the bad bacteria in your system will start to die because they can't feed on the sugar anymore. And you are replacing good bacteria, and you're putting in lots of nutrients into your system to help feed your good bacteria, and you use fiber as well to help that entire process. And you also need to up your intake of healthy fats, because again, when you take away the sugar, your body needs to have other things to help carry you over those feelings of craving. So I do protein shake, I carry around a protein bar. I also use another thing, which is rice cakes with a bit of coconut fat on, which is delicious and very good for you. That's another great thing to have around the house and take with you wherever you go, so you make good choices. Number 3, become a label reader. Become your own expert. This is connected to point number 1, get informed. And it just means when you go into a supermarket, you will be utterly shocked at the amount of sugar you will be eating every day without even realizing that you did it. One biscuit in a normal biscuit will have more sugar than your daily intake should have. So you can imagine when you start to add all the different things that you eat every day that you didn't even think about. We are all, even I who've reduced my sugar greatly, I'm probably over my normal sugar limit just because we are surrounded by it and it's difficult. So make the effort, just make the effort to learn how to read labels. For example, in England, we have this bracket. If you look on the back of a packet, it'll say carbohydrates, and then it'll say of which sugars. Now, the of which sugars tab doesn't just mean added sugar, it's also naturally occurring sugar. They put it all into the same bracket, which makes it really, really confusing for consumers to know exactly if this is a healthy sugar, like glucose is less harmful than fructose, for example. So it makes it very confusing with what am I eating. So you need to become an expert and make educated guesses. If you eat something that is full of apple juice or dates or something like that, very likely that of which sugars is probably fructose, and we shouldn't have too much of that. So just be aware. Same with honey. Honey is super high in fructose, and sometimes something like date syrup or agave syrup, it'll say low GI. All that means is how fast your body is burning it. It has nothing to do with whether it's good for you or not. It just means how quickly your body gets rid of the energy. It's not a very useful measure for whether this is good for us or not. A much more healthy measure is the of which sugars bracket, in which honey, date syrup, agave syrup is super high, and maple syrup as well. So go for things which are sweetened, hopefully either with stevia or brown rice syrup, wherever possible. Those are your best 2 sweeteners. And lastly, I hope this was useful to you. Don't worry, it took us a long time as well to go on this journey. We didn't just suddenly become sugar experts overnight, but even now my kids have started to learn to look on the back of packaging and figure out whether this is good for them or not. And we're not saints. We still have sweets on a Saturday, and if we go to a party, they get to have cake, but they couldn't do that in the beginning. When you start off, be really strict with yourself and your family, because it's the only way you're going to figure out where the sugar starts to affect you. We can tell straight away when someone in our family has had too much sugar, because the energy level goes far too high and not in a good way. Sugar can affect all of us in so many different ways. It affects our mental health, our physical health. If anyone in your family or your friends have an autoimmune disease, heart disease, cancer, mood disorders or Asperger's disorders, or are basically not neurotypical, they could probably benefit from doing this kind of thing where you greatly reduce your sugar, and you will be shocked at the changes in behavior. I wish that every single therapist, doctor would always say, what are you eating, before they start giving a diagnosis or a treatment, because food really, really affects us in every way. So good luck, and take care. Bye.